All right, coaches, zit. We're here, we're ready for the 3-day install. And realistically, this is a 3-day install that repeats throughout the summer. It'll repeat once in June. It'll have its own form of a repeat at the All Alaska camp itself. It'll repeat in July. Um, the same basic formula that we're going here. We keep using and we add things like motions and tags and different things to each day of the install. By the end of it, the majority of the playbook is in. The goal is that after our 3-day install, we're ready to go for All Alaska camp. We will have a review day, and then All Alaska will review this. So the goal is tonight, as you're watching this video, this document is a support document for you to know exactly what you're walking into on Tuesday, June 6th, as we start the day. Our values voted on by the kids, influenced by us, certainly. But all of us believe in building trust. And I think a coach that knows his scheme, we're going to talk about, and knows the practice flow and knows the practice plan builds trust. And I'm guilty with people at times where I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now. And so the goal is that we are laying it on the line tonight, that we together are going to know exactly where we're supposed to be each period of practice. And if something needs to be modified, we understand what that means. Competition, get 1% better. That's what we talk about that every day. And really, for some of us, it might be learning a whole new position. For some of us, it will be learning some new terminology, but we ourselves are getting 1% better as we encourage the kids. And lastly, heart. What do you do when things aren't going right? I know that challenges me. You know, how do I act when I'm working with kids and they're not getting it? My instruction isn't reaching them. So what do we do as a group to work through that? And we'll create some adversity, but you know what? It's day one install. There's going to be plenty of adversity. We don't need to create any extra adversity. We know what's coming at us. So how are we going to do this? Three rules, I guess. Words. Smile. First and foremost, it is football. We are closer to normal than we've ever been. Let's embrace that. Hustle. Let's not walk. If we're walking, kids are going to walk. How the heck can we expect kids to be high tempo if we're not high tempo? So come ready to coach with your hair on fire. And then listen and learn. Not just about football, but listen to the kids. Listen to how they talk, what they say. There's a lot to be learned there. They're experts in their lives. They're experts in what they're going through. So listen and learn. Obviously, these are the things we're going to talk to the kids about, but each one of these translates directly to our role as coaches in the big we scheme of the deal. So let's get right into it. Our 3-day install. So real quick, what does Tuesday 6-1 look like? 1 o'clock to any upperclassmen who haven't got helmets and shoulder pads will get that. 2 to 3 will be freshmen. And 3:30, the west gates are locked. You're locked out of the west gates. We'll get to that in a second. We might add a 3 to 3:30 t-shirt short time. They're still in transit. If they're here by Tuesday, we'll dish them out. If they're not, we'll just roll with what we got. But those gates are locked because at 4 o'clock, you're going to have a position meet and greet. So all of the position coaches and offensive coaches will meet outside the gates. We are not going to have guys just running around crazy time on the field before we practice. If they want that, they can certainly go to next door to the junior high. It's open. We'll leave that open, but we're going to lock west. It's going to be a special place at 3:30. No one's on that field at 3:30. From 4 to 4:10, the position coaches will check guys in. At 4:10, you as a coach will check your group in, and we'll get into what that looks like. We'll go over the whole practice plan. 4:10 to 5:45, offensive mayhem, and then 5:45 to 6 will be your post practice meetings / your position-specific conditioning. We're going to condition as position groups, and you're their conditioning coach, and we'll go over things you can do, ideas, energy systems, all that stuff later tonight. All right. So what does starting practice look like for us now? Every player meets with their position coach outside the gate. No one walks on the field until they've been with the position. The position coach is the squad leader. That guy is running the show for that group. They should feel like that dude's the head coach. That guy's the most important in their world, right? I'm the head coach. I tell people this all the time. If guys graduate from when guys graduate from West, I want them to be like, yeah, Coach Davis was cool, but Coach, whoever, their position coach, that guy's my dude. Those are the things We want to hear them say we're building those relationships there. Players can store any equipment they need in the nest or reload. Let me know. Either of those can be unlocked. We will make sure that everything is locked up and secure. Players check in on the A with their position coaches. Position coaches, it's up to you to set the tone. When we walk through the gates, you set the tone with your guys. High energy, smile, hustle, listen, and learn. What are we trying to get done through these 3 days? Goal number 1 is understand the wristband system. We're going to be top to bottom a wristband team for our program this season. JV, C team, and varsity will use an identical looking wristband. It will not have the same plays, but the wristband will function the same. It will look the same, so that when they make the jump over the next few years, they have an understanding exactly how that wristband will look. I'll personally work with Coach Ando and Coach Cat and the play callers at JV and freshman level, C team level, to make sure that we understand best practices for calling plays off a wristband. But goal number 1, understand the wristband system. That's what is going to drive a lot of our practice plan, actually. We'll install formations throughout the day. Receivers, you actually will have a block for that. So make sure that we have our 4 formations plus our tags. So we have white, bone, red, blue, and tight. And we'll talk about each one of those coming up. We'll install the plays of the day. We'll talk about what that is. And then, like I said, you will finish with position-specific conditioning. Practice in your energy system. What does that mean? For a receiver, we should be doing something really, really hard for 6 seconds, jogging, lowering the heart rate for 20 to 30, and then doing something really hard again. Could that be running a fade with the ball? You bet. Could that? I don't even want to pollute your mind with my ideas. Work hard for 6 seconds, rest for 20 to 30, and remember that your work is most likely running. Linemen, this is where sled work would come in. Let's push something. Just straight up conditioning. Work hard for 6 seconds, rest for 20 to 30. You guys have a roughly 10-minute block in there. We'll talk. If you have any questions, I can get more into that. But think about what type of conditioning prepares your guys. Running a mile does nothing for your guys. Not really. It doesn't make them better football players necessarily. Here are the position group assignments. The guys in red are the varsity position coach. These guys are getting their terminology directly from me, and they pass it on down so that we are consistent with our words. We're consistent with our terms. We're all speaking the same language. Every Eagle speaks the same language. Coach Feckley comes up with the language for the quarterbacks, passes it on to myself and Coach Cat. Coach Wrestler does that for the running backs, passes that on to Coach Ando. For this camp, we'll have Ando with running backs because of the need for bodies there. Wide receivers, Coach Kimmett, Coach Davis will be two-head monster that. Coach Mercer will be running those B-backs a lot of times with the wide receivers. Coach Navarro will be there. Coach Drew, Valega, and Sheets. You guys are learning from Coach Navarro. He is the dude who is passing on the language and the knowledge. Those guys run the show, and then they should be getting in contact with you before Tuesday to let you know how you can help and what the expectations are for the camp. So every guy, this is our whole day one. This is what we're going to get done right here. And every coach is going to get this sheet along with position group sheets. So for example, day one, what are we getting in? We're getting our four formations, and our tag, our tight tag. So it's multiple formations, but it's 4. It's white, red, blue, bone with the tight tag. We'll talk about that. We're going to install Sun Devil in Arizona, inside zone. Wisconsin Badger, which is our lead runs, our man scheme, which are really how we start the freshmen off. We'll talk about our pass protections, 90 set, our vertical set protection for our dropbacks. We'll talk about our rollouts. We'll install those. We'll be installing our fast screens as an RPO off of Arizona Sun Devil, our inside zone. We'll be installing sprint screen, a standalone screen, a cage screen. We'll talk about what that means. We'll install the pass concepts of stick, Ohio, and wide. All right, let's get to it. So each one of these sheets that you are seeing right now are going to be given to your guys at the end of practice when they walk out. They will have a checklist. If a running back doesn't, for example, know what north or south is, this is the time for them to ask. This is their playbook. They ask for a playbook. This is where it comes from, this checklist. They can We'll give them some visual aids. The grips, the receivers are the one exception. They will get a route tree of the day. So we will have everything that you need to know, especially when it comes to routes, will be given to them in paper so that they can remember them all. So what does day one look like? Well, we're going to go ahead, like you see at 4 o'clock, we have our meeting. Okay, this is the meet and greet, is what we're calling it. In the season, this would be meeting time. We're going to bring computers, screens, whatever it needs, as close to the field as possible, whether that's in a reload when it gets cold and wet, or whether that's an iPad or maybe even a television outside on nice days. Teams will check in on their own. They will go through EDDs on their own. The EDDs should relate to something they're going to learn scheme-wise. You have all the varsity guys have this document. Their goal is that by the time we get to Tuesday, the letters EDD are gone. And what they've done is they've filled in a 1 or 2 word detail of what they're going to be working on. We then do perfect drill during period 4. Running backs, just for you guys, we're going to play that by ear. You will probably have, based on numbers of guys that want to play running backs, you may have an additional install ED period, or you can join us for perfect drill. Again, that's going to be played by ear based on the amount of guys that we have at running back. So plan something here, whether it's ball security, fist to chin, whatever happens to be, plan something there, Coach Wrestler, Coach Ando, but be ready to adjust and go into perfect drill with the receivers. At this time, Coach Zavar already kind of has the idea what he's working on. He's working through things. We'll go into pat and go, and then at 4:26, we'll come together, and the captains will lead a stretch. We're warmed up, we've moved, we're hot, we're going. Captains will do a stretch, bring everybody together, and this is our ritual. This is where the guys start to bond. They start to come together as a team, as a unit. It's no longer just their position group. We're all together. We're going to jump right into instructing formations for the QB, running back, receivers. O-line, you're working cage drill. After formations are installed, we'll rock right into fast screen, and we will roll right into sprint screen. So both of those will occur. We have another 8-minute block of EDDs. Coaches, fill those in as you need over this weekend. This is your time. Then we'll start doing routes on air. We'll be coming out. While we're doing routes on air coming out, again, installing our 3 pass concepts. The running backs and the O-linemen, and the B-backs will be working an install of Wisconsin and Badger. We'll get to what all these plays are momentarily. And then we will have a team run period where everybody's together, where we run the whole play on air with the RPOs. We might have a couple footballs in the air with the running back, one for the quarterback keep, one for the throw, etc. We break into one-on-one period, Skelly, and then we will focus. Our first situation will be 3rd and 5. And this could be, we're going to play this by ear as far as this will probably be 3rd and 5 on air, working our plays and potentially working in our storm calls. We'll talk about storm. We potentially will change that 2-point play to storm play for this camp. In season, that's going to be a 2-point play period. At 5:45, we're done. If we need to go long, we go long, up to 6. That means we're burning that conditioning time. If we're on schedule, we get to 5:45, we're done. That is your 15 minutes to work with the guys to condition and rock and roll. All right. So how does the offense operate? This is review for some of you. Some of you, this is brand new. So I want to be as detailed as possible to support you in instructing the guys. Let me know via text or anything if you have any questions. Number 1, the players align. So there will be a big board. In this camp, we will verbally yell. White, red, blue, bone, and we might add a tight tag. We might yell that out loud. That'll be verbalized at this camp. Normally, that's going to be on a board. Players get to play from the sideline once they're in their position, but they are not in stance. They're standing upright. They're very obviously looking at their wristband or looking at the coach giving the signal. They are in the spot that they're going to be, but they're upright. Really important. We'll get to that in a second. So there's 2 tempos we have at West. We have our base tempo, which is wristbands. I say red 2. Guy finds red 2, we run it. We'll actually show the wristband here momentarily. And then we have a storm tempo. That's our 1-word call. We say Arizona, And that whole play would be something like Arizona double fast, or Arizona fast right, pop left, or whatever we're going to call Arizona that week. Our storm tempo changes potentially week to week. We carry 4 to 6 of them in. It's one word, it's a signal, and it is hair on fire, go as fast as you can. Once the play is received, whether it's storm or whether it's band, we stance up. Receivers have a flat back. That allows us 2 things. One, it allows us a low trajectory takeoff. It allows us to eliminate a cornerback from blocking us up or pressing us up. And it lets the quarterback know we're ready to play football. Linemen, you guys get into a 2-point stance, but your 2-point stance is as low as a 3-point. We talk about this a lot. We have to have the ability to move in every direction on the clock as a lineman. And so our goal, when we get stanced up, if we don't know the play, we're standing upright. There should be a significant difference from us looking at band to stance up by, let's say, 2 feet. Should be a 2-foot difference there. That allows the quarterback to know that he's ready to run the play. He's going to look left, right, left. And then when he's ready, he's going to clap. And then the center calls set go on the quarterback whenever the center wants to. But the clap lets the center know, I'm the quarterback, I'm standing here, I'm ready to receive the snap. In storm plays, which we're hoping to get to at the very end of the day, and we'll have information for you as we go into day 1, I'll tell you before we walk on the field. For storm plays, the quarterback's going to say alert, alert. And he says set go. Alert, alert is what we use for storm. It's also what we use for motion, but it's just basically saying there's no clap. I'm going to say set go, and the ball's got to be on me. We also use it for when we're trying to draw a team off sides and freeze. All right, so let's get to that wristband. This is one of our goals, to understand the wristband system. This is what the quarterback's band looked like at the end of the season last year, and all the bands are going to look something like this. You're going to have numbers, you're going to have all sorts of colors. It'll make sense here, hopefully, as we deliver it. Here are 2 different bands. We have left tackle, right tackle. We try to keep everything we need on one band. And so the color tells you not only what to align to, because our formations are all colors, white, red, blue, bone, we'll get to that, and tight, we'll get to that as well. Our formations are in there, but it also tells us what to run, where to look on the band. So if I say red 2, we're running some type of pass play here. I can tell by the 60, right, pass protection by the lineman. But that color. A color that looks different, just so you know, looking at this band, is how we change from, say, white and, let's say, bone. So bone might be white 34 or 35. So they know to look in this white column because it's very, very similar. But when we get down into those 30s, the guys that need to change go, oh, it's a white 30. I look at it. It's black. It's got the white lettering. I got to get into bone. That's how the band works. For those of you wondering what the highlighted pink means, that just indicates a 5-man pass protection. The quarterback's band will have pink, and the lineman's band will have pink at the varsity level. JV, you might have a few, but for the most part, C team and JV vertical set, drop back pass protection is going to be a 6-man protection, or it's going to be play action or sprint out. And then that sidebar just tells what position and which band. This is really important. Bands change. They change over the course of the day. And what we'll do is we'll usually put a number as the version of the band. So, and we usually change the colors too. So this band was something we were running on, like let's say a Thursday, and we found an error on the left tackle band. We switched that, so the color, we knew the left tackles were on this color. Anyway, just so you're wondering what all those letters mean, it's the version of band and the formations. Let's get into formations. Real quick review. White is our base 2x2 10 personnel formation. We've talked a lot about this. Our slot receivers are really going to be elite blockers first. They can be phenomenal runners. We can also have the Tyreek Hill type guys there. We tend to have more tight ends than those guys come through our system. We tend to have the smarter guy, the guy who can use his mind and his discipline to find playing time. That's where our slot receivers live in our offense. Our X's and our Z's, it's not that they're not that. They just happen to be the most elite athletes of our receiving core. They usually have ball skills. We run a ton of screen. Screen is what we hang our hat on. And so those guys got to be a hybrid between a vertical threat and a running back at times. That's white. Blue just tells the Y and the H to be on the left. X and Z always on the line. X and Z always X to the left, Z to the right, inside foot up. Y and H are 2 yards off the ball, yard and a half. Sometimes we get tagged because our guard tackle are deep. So refs get confused. We say 2 yards off the ball now. It eliminates confusion. It actually puts us in a good positions for what we want to do with those guys. H is always the number 3. Y is always the number 2 in red and blue. Red is just to the right. Let's talk about bone. This is a new one. This is actually going to be the freshman level's base formation to start things off with this year. And that's just a 30 personnel system. It's exactly white. And we used to use the letters A, B on varsity. We certainly can. The idea is that these are fullbacks. But if we got the slot receivers who can go body up and get nasty in the box, those guys are going to live in the backfield as well. And we can go from a 10 personnel, an empty look, to all of a sudden we're in 30 personnel power type sets, which is a tremendous advantage for us. So we're actually going to build our whole offense from for the young guys. This is the starting formation. In varsity, it's white. Freshman level, you guys will be in bone. We have the tight tag. So when we go over tight, it's just a 1.5 yard split between all receivers. They just condense down. You can see there what white tight looks like. We used to call it bunch. We call it tight now. There you go. The back. How does the back know where to align? He aligns in the I. That's the pistol or whatever. We just use the word I, the letter I. South. And this is a deceiving image. We want our if we have normal splits. If we have our normal 2-foot splits, we want our F split down the center by the inside foot of the tackle. So his foot should draw a line straight through the center of our running back in south, straight through the line of our running back on north. And we go a heel-toe relationship. The quarterback's heels are 5 yards from the ball. The running back's toes are 5 yards from the ball. That's our relationship with our alignment as running backs. We feel that's the most versatile. Running game wise, we'll be installing the downhill mesh. This is the type of way that the running backs get the ball from the quarterbacks. We've talked a lot about this. Coach Feckley and Coach Ressler are experts to talk about this, but in case you have questions about downhill mesh, specifically downhill mesh from north and south, the coaching points are here. There's videos on Huddle. Get with me. But we will spend some time doing some downhill mesh drills, basically really working on the quarterback to keep the ball up high, to push it to his backside shoulder, and to let the F, what we call press the button. Imagine there's a button on the back of the quarterback's hand. Quarterback doesn't start his ride until the F presses that button. The quarterback then makes the zone read on the play, which leads us to our first installed play, Sun Devil. Outside receivers will be running the fast screen, which we'll talk about momentarily. Sun Devil, though, is our inside zone to the left. It is our Sun Devil in Arizona to the right, Sun Devil to the left. Those because of the L and the R. This is where we're going to read the defensive end, the traditional zone read. O-line coaches get with Coach Navarro on this, but we're basically trying to, if we have the potential to have a frontside double team, we will. In this case, we don't have a double team that's presenting itself necessarily. We teach, because of tempo and time, we teach the backside of Sun Devil exactly like we teach outside zone. So for these two guys, the guard and tackle, they're gonna basically be in their outside zone world. They don't know it yet. But they'll be taught how to play the backside of Sun Devil at during practice on Tuesday. And that's how we run inside zone. We're aiming A gap to A gap is what we tell the runners. Very rarely does this thing go out the front side for us. It almost always is a cut back, and so that's why we really, really try to teach that backside O line. You're running your outside zone. By the way, if you're wondering what same as duck means, duck is our outside zone. So here's Sun Devil versus an underfront. So now we have some double teams. Let's talk about the double teams, what these mean. Again, Coach Navarro can tell you more about this, but the basic idea is this as what we're trying to do If we have a plus double team, that means that the linebacker is to the play side for us, especially on the backside. That just means that that guard's not going to be able to hang out. He's got to get on his horse to make sure the squeeze is blocked up. The backside tackle, we can communicate when it's appropriate to cut. We'll cut off the snap if appropriate. Front side, guard's got his eyes tracking. Remember, we're protecting A-gap to A-gap, so we've got to clear this A-gap defender out. We'll work to vertically push him with the guard's eyes on the mic. It's these two for these two and these two for these two where it comes down to. But that's Sun Devil. It's an inside zone running play. Downhill read by the quarterback. Quarterback's rules, he's going to throw the ball if he can get 6 yards to the fast screen. 6 for 6, baby. If it's 6 yards, take it. That equals 6 points. If he decides not to throw it, we don't throw it late. What we do is we're just running zone read. And so now he reads the DN. If the DN gives the pull key and the quarterback keeps the ball and late the fast screen is still there, it becomes that form of air raid triple option. Quarterback can throw that late potentially. Generally speaking, the moment the quarterback decides not to throw the ball at the snap of the ball and he makes a read to pull, homie's a running back, and he's got to go get after it. We are really putting the emphasis that quarterback this year is a runner. And he's got to earn his keep between the tackles as well. Here's Sun Devil versus an odd look. We'll read this end. We'll do everything we can to avoid him. If he crosses over, we'll grab and drag with him. We'll talk about that. And then the quarterback's reading the rob. But we'll get into that. That's more advanced. So just know that Sun Devil is one of the first plays we'll install. So what is the receivers doing on Sun Devil? Their bands, just like you saw, it tells everybody exactly what to do. Their bands just say fast screen, X fast, Z fast. And so right now, Arizona on the band will be double fast screen. Here's an example. This would be blue. This is old school blue trio. This is blue Sun Devil. So the quarterback can look at this and go, do I have the numbers for 6 yards right now? And remember, we say, do we have an advantage? And we don't count safeties. So I see 2 bad guys. I see 3 good guys. And I'm throwing this ball, especially because we pride ourselves in putting our athletic dudes here. We pride ourselves in putting our best blockers on the dang team out there. At Y and H. Those 2 guys are going to score touchdowns. All right, new play. Ready? Here we go. New play. Looks very similar right here to Arizona. It's not Arizona. It's Wisconsin. So we have Wisconsin to the left, Badger to the right. Sorry, Wisconsin doesn't have an L in the title. I know that's going to confuse so many people. Wisconsin's to the left, Badger to the right. But this is just our lead play. And this is different. We can certainly set up double teams here, but this is just old school, like double lead effectively. It can be single lead as well if there's only one back in the backfield. But the rule is, are you covered to your gap? Then down block it. And we're not teaching double teams yet. However, as guys go through their progression, they will learn that the guard and tackler is double teaming up to the mic and they're cutting off the play side, which is to the left. Same with the center guard backside, working through. The H and the Y, the flybacks, the B-backs, these guys are getting nasty. The H is working what we call kick block by working vertical and kicking out, not going right to that guy to allow him to undercut. And the Y is working a wrap. Now, we teach them eyes inside, but usually the reason we do that is because by this point, the whole player out here is going to make his presence felt. He's going to be the most dangerous threat as the Y wraps up. That is old school double lead for you guys who grew up back in the day. There's some similarities to plays like duo and stuff like that are all the rage. But this is an off tackle play. This is an off tackle play. We are looking to hit this in what is the C gap, but we're looking to create really space there. So that's Wisconsin. So the opposite of that is Badger. Okay, and I just drew up QB Badger to show that we can do the same exact play. You can see the O-line, same rule. Am I covered? No. Then work up to my mic. He's in my gap. He's my gap defender. Am I covered? Yeah, block him. work vertical, and we're base blocking this guy away from play call side. Center, not covered. I'm working vertical. It's a man-based scheme is what you'll hear this type of scheme called. There's really 3 schemes. There's zone, and then there's gap. And I see man as different. What's different between man and gap? Gap is about lateral displacement of the O-line to us, whereas man-based scheme is about vertical displacement. This is just dude versus dude. Eventually, if we get smart and good and work our levels up, we will double team when we run this scheme. So you can see that there. Again, boom, you have your kick and your wrap. Our bands will just say that. Real quick on bone. I know you saw earlier where it said A, B. We're going to use the same bands as the H and the Y. So they're H's and Y's. Y's on the right, and what we call a 3R, and H's in the left, called 3L. Basically, 3 yards from the line of scrimmage in the B gap. There you go. That's where you align in bone. If you get a big nasty guy back there, put him in a 3-point stance. Get all intimidating. Give him a big old neck roll. Let's go Tom Rathman style. All right, word. Quarterback on QB Badger would shuffle 1 step, allow his blocking to develop, try to get some flow, and he's going to cut it back following the H and the Y on QB Badger. Pass protections. Rodeo is our first pass protection to work on. It is a sprint out pass protection. Coach Navarro will be going over this, but if you hear us talk about rodeo, that's what we're doing. The F, his job is to set, secure an edge. The right tackle's job is really, we want to set the edge if possible. We want to set an edge. Okay, it doesn't have to be the edge, it's an edge. So if that 5 technique super wide, it just might be a situation where we just carry that guy super wide. But the F should be coming to help take over and pass that 5 back into the tackle's lap. That's what the F will be doing on his path if nothing shows for the F. If the edge is secure for the quarterback, he will continue to run a 5-yard out. If it's a quick pass concept, which all of them are for the quarterbacks today, he's going to open flat. He's going to open flat down the line. Ball's out on the 3rd step. It's really catch, 1, 2, 3, ball out. It's almost like, it's not the same, but it's kind of like the old school run and shoot, half roll type stuff, kind of. Backside tackle guard, we'll work on that with Coach Navarro, but they're going to hinge. They'll take their 3 steps, no threat, they hinge around. All right, word. So that is what, when we say rodeo, that's what we mean. Lasso is the opposite. So here, lasso is the opposite of rodeo. We did not draw everything up for this presentation. Lasso and rodeo are the same thing. Rodeo to the right, lasso to the left. 90 protection. What is 90 protection? 90 protection is vertical setting. It is very, very important to our offense. Why is that? Because it keeps QB standing upright when we do it right. We allow sacks when we don't get our full vertical set. Just is what it is, statistically. If we get 4 steps back, inside, outside, and set up shop, and then begin our pro-style kick slide, we don't allow sacks. And so this is, but when we start to lunge, lead with heads, stop forgetting our discipline and our technique, do something that might have been taught at some camp or something, it's not what fits necessarily our alignment, doesn't mean it's wrong. I want to be really clear on this. 90 setting is a little different than a lot of teams. It's a little different, right? Some of you might be experiencing 90 setting for the first time, but trust in the system on this. Take a look at the objective data on this. This keeps quarterbacks upright. What is this susceptible to? The bull rush. And so Coach Navarro does a lot of time working the bull rush. Also, we hopefully aren't in 90 necessarily a ton, but we're going to be balanced so that if we have to run 90 set every play, we could. We won't be. We'll be doing things like play action, pass protection, and rodeo and lasso, and screens and stuff. But 90 setting, what is it? So the O-line is vertical setting backwards 4 steps. Inside, outside, inside, outside. And from there, they're going to start their traditional slide or man-based pass pro using the same kick slide, using all the same pro-style blocking techniques that you would see at the next level or in other programs even. We just believe that resetting the O-line gives our O-linemen a chance to really diagnose stunts and twists and blitzes and weird stuff 4 yards back and gives us time to figure life out. We almost always pick up weird stuff just by retreating, and then setting up solid with our punch. 90 left means that from center left, those guys are sliding. They're in charge of a gap. The tackle's working his outside gap. The guard's working his B gap. Center's working A gap, front side. And then on the back side, we're a man base. So the guard is manned up on the 1, tackle's manned up on the 5, and the F is manned up on the squeeze. The reason we call him the squeeze is that sometimes we will play a team that will blitz the squeeze in 5-man protection, and we want the tackle to squeeze and pick up the squeeze. So if you've ever been wondering why the squeeze is called that, there you go. But that's 90. And the F will always have a route to do after. So his band will say something like check, hold, or check, out. It'll say something like that, allowing him knowing exactly where to go. There's just 90 right. Doesn't matter where the F lines up. If he looks at his band and he's in north, 90 right, he needs to know that his squeeze is at the left backer. And we'll practice that quite a bit. So screen game. We're going to be installing screen game at this camp. Cage screens. What are cage screens? Cage screens is a box where the receiver catches the ball. It is a 5x5 UFC box of mayhem where we're trying to catch the ball and get vertical using the blocks of our own line. And the O-linemen have 3 very important blocks: out, up, and in, which translates to blocking the force player, the fill player, and the follow player. And we have a rule that if one of them goes down, gets caught up, is slow, another guy can overpass and take his job. Talk about that more later. What I want to do is show this into application. So here is our play, rodeo sprint X. And that means that we're going to go rodeo sprint screen, and we're throwing it to the X. So the X is going to work a 3-step vertical cell and then work to get back 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage. We tell our guys 1 yard behind. It almost always ends up them being at the line. So we have to really stress that one. Quarterback is going to 5-step rodeo, flip his hips, and then throw the ball back to the X. How does this thing get blocked up? The H is going to work a 3-step vertical cell, and they got to sell this. There can't be any doubt that for those first 3 steps, this guy's going deep. He's going to dial down, throttle down, and then he's going to return to the line of scrimmage and do his flat for 5. So it's not a fast screen, because the fast screen takes catch the ball, it's out. This one, the quarterback's going to rodeo. The O-line is going to rodeo for 3 steps. And what it becomes is the cage drill, a cage screen. So where's our out block? It'll be our tackle. Our tackle releases 3 yards, just like on rodeo. It'll look very similar to day 2 install of outside zone. And on his 3rd step, he puts his toe in the ground. He's going to work flat down the line as the out blocker. The guard is going to be the up. The center is the in, looking for any type of follow linebacker. And then we protect front side of the F, the front side guard, and the front side tackle. Those guys keep the quarterback standing upright in his face. That's rodeo screen. We'll mostly run rodeo screen. We'll most likely just half line it. But if you're wondering, well, what's going on? Oh, coach said rodeo screen. That's what we're doing. All right, let's get into our pass concepts and get you guys out here for the night. 3 pass concepts: stick, and get with Coach Feckley, Coach Ricky Davis, Coach Kimmett, Coach Wrestler, myself. All of us have really good understanding of these. So if these are new to you, get with the coaches on staff and get knowledge up. But what we're doing here on stick is we're really working to get the ball to the slot. These guys have been blocking all day, right? Got to give the big man some love. The other thing that's really cool about this is he's a big man, right? So he's basically like a low post player in basketball, boxing out. The quarterback's got to put it on the correct shoulder. So here's stick. The quarterback, we're telling the quarterbacks at this camp, we want to almost always throw the stick. The stick has to fall down, be really, really overmatched to not throw the stick. We want to throw the stick. This arrow goes out at the top of the stem because if the whole player goes out, the Y will follow him. He still is going to break inside back to the quarterback in our offense. Not everybody does, but it's what we do. So even if this guy winds out, the Y releases, he winds with him, but he still breaks down. He is aiming for the inside hip of the whole player. The whole player is the outside linebacker. On the outside, we got an MLR. We'll teach those. Those are on the list of things to be taught for the receivers. Receivers have kind of like a checklist, and they are just working through their stuff on their checklist. And it's going to be ugly at times because some of them will be the first time ever doing it. And we're just going to listen and learn and smile and hustle. You do those things, we're going to be okay. Ohio. So if you notice, a lot of the plays have levels, right, on the top left. And that's kind of where we introduce them in the scheme of our program. I've always found that the 5-yard out cut's a harder throw for a lot of our guys to make unless you lasso to it. So in this drawing, we wouldn't just be calling Ohio. We're going to go lasso Ohio, and that's what we're going to do at this camp. Ohio specifically is going to be rodeo lasso. We're rolling to it. It's a quick roll. It's a 3-step ball out, 4-step going left for a righty. On stick, it's the 3-step drop back. It's a quick 3. Okay, it can be an open shuffle. We'll talk about quarterback footwork with Coach Beckley later, but it is a 3-step quick step, quick 3 to get the ball to the Y. And then again, we have Ohio. We're lasso to Ohio is how we'll run it at this camp. And the other, and on this concept, we have the same MOR we did with stick, very similar to stick concept in many ways. But this is a great man beater and just a good route to have. It's teaching the front side tag of Ohio. We'll get into what that means at a later date. But that's Ohio. Nothing on the backside to worry about. We might not even run the backside. And anything we do run on the backside, we'll make sure that the guys have it on their bands. And it's stuff they've already been taught through the day. And the last concept we'll be teaching is wide. And wide is very similar, except now they're actually making a read. They're throwing the ball to the snap route. Now to the field like this, the wide side of the field, that's quite a throw. And it's totally doable, especially in some of the off coverages we get. But in this case, what are we going to do to it, guys? We're going to rodeo to it. Get the quarterback moving, get it out there, get the ball out of his hands. If that corner jumps down on it, quarterback can now read it. He can hit it up over the top for the corner route. So it's a 1-2 progression. The quarterback, based on his footwork and where we are on the field, will be flat. And if he needs to gain ground, he can. But we're looking to get this ball out quickly to the snap route, the outside receiver. All right, guys, that is day 1 install. If you have any questions, get a hold of me. Shoot me a text. I'm rewinding back to the practice plan right now just so you guys can see, kind of visualize how that all comes together. You know, all the things we just talked about, the quarterbacks, hey, during EDDs, you're on your own, you're working the mesh. Hey, and get with the running backs. Is there something you guys can help each other with right there? That's up for you guys. This is your time as position coaches, the dudes that were in red, to work with your dudes and get them going. When we go through the rest of this, we will only run plays and formations in day 1 that you just saw. All right, hopefully this document supports day 1 success. I'll be reaching out to you guys. Defensive guys, you guys, if you're there, let me know, and we'll get you plugged in and have you start mastering an offensive position as well. But we're offense Tuesday, June 1st, 4 o'clock. Mayhem begins. I'm so freaking pumped, guys. I can't tell you. This is the coolest thing. I don't know why we haven't done this like this for years, but here we are. We're doing it. We're spring ball, and we're gonna go get after it. Hey, One Eagle, mother truckers. Much love. We'll talk soon.